Welcome to 22 Sides. I'm Robin Mack, and we're here today with Alexis Melvin and
Fran Goundry.
We're super excited. We have a few topics to cover today. We're just going to kick it off. We want to hear a little bit about you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. This is really extraordinary opportunity, and I want to thank you both for allowing me to come.
Absolutely. Kathy Crawford, we've had her on another episode. She's a poet and HR representative and just a dear friend of mine. I got to know her through many different things. She was what you can consider a mentor, and we did a lot of yoga together, a lot of things. She just had her new book come out, and she built a bridge for us to meet you.
Yes.
And as it turns out, you have a bit of an art background, and I don't think you knew just all the art you're about to walk into today. So it's a really pleasant surprise to see your joy around all the art.
Yeah. I'm originally from New York, if you couldn't tell.
I was guessing it was the Northeast.
Yeah, we can tell.
So yeah, I've been down in Texas since '90, and you could take the girl out of New York, but you can't take the girl. Everything else out of New York.
Bring it with you. Bring it
with me. So, when I was in New York, I was my background is art education and special ed. Actually, I was in education for too many years to remember, and in administration as well. And when I came down to Texas in '90, my first job here was actually an A-Leaf in special ed.
Yep.
But my art education love, I left in New York because I taught in Northport, New York. I don't know if you know that, as an art educator. And anyway, traveled here, did special ed here, and said, never again am I going to be in education in Texas.
I was about to say, that must have been a culture shock.
It was huge.
And the worst part is, as far as special ed and art education, A-Leaf's probably the best we have. It's not totally private school. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the special ed was a little different than what I was used to. Let's just say that, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So with years after that, because of my focus in education, I found that the nonprofit world was the next step into my journey, never leaving the art behind.
No, I could see your passion for it. You're gonna reopen a chapter over and over again. You don't have to close all chapters just because it was in the past. You carry it forward.
You always carry it forward, always. And so I've been in nonprofit now for 20-something years. And I think for me, nonprofit is just like my heart strings, you know, because you're helping
the passion, the people, the service.
I'm a real bad sucker for helping people, you know.
Sometimes they say you get paid double when that happens, right? It's not just your work; it's your passion. But it is hard, to leave it all at work. I bet.
Yeah.
So
it is.
What nonprofits have you worked for that you just want to highlight?
I was at Star of Hope for quite a while.
Okay.
Working with those on the street, which was an eye-opening experience.
And that was in Texas?
Houston.
Okay.
And was just, the one thing about what I've learned through, as we age, because I'm just a ripe old young chick here.
Yeah, it's not a camera podcast, so do you want to float around a number for those listening if they can't guess?
Over 35.
Okay.
And if anybody carefully listens, she did say sort of where it was.
Yes. There's over 27,000 nonprofits in Houston.
There's so much. We were talking to Frost Murphy, and I had to look up how many there were in just Texas, it's just a lot. And he did a little overview on, he went with a program that showed you different nonprofits and how to sign up for them, what to do for them, and how to pick, because there's so many.
There's so many.
So, yeah.
There are so many. And really, as, in my journey through education, I realized that as I was in education, I was always selling a concept, right? It might not have been giving me a financial reward, but I was always selling a concept to a child or to an individual to support the institution that I was working for. So it was a long journey, but in my later years, I realized, gosh, I'm a good developer. I'm good with people. I'm good with relationships, making those connections.
Yeah, I feel like you've never met a stranger. You're like you came in, you're like right at home, super warm.
You're
like
so sweet.
Yeah.
My kids always hate that. Every place we go to, it's like, Mom, will you? Is there like no place we can go where you don't know someone?
Alexis and I have a very similar experience, and one of the times she said to me, she says, actually, that's how I got on the board of the Transgender Foundation of America. And I said, why me? I'm a yoga instructor and a massage therapist. She said, between the two of us, we can know everyone in the room. And that's just true. Like, you have to have some people.
And if not the two people we didn't know, we will by the end of the day.
That's right. That's
totally.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But then I have friends that say, gosh, have you ever considered not saying hi to people when you're out in public? Because I just always run into people. But I love that. I love the connection. I love the accountability. I love the little reunion that you didn't schedule. When I said no, I never considered that. Jennifer Marie. And then we actually interviewed her, and the funny thing is the conversation rolled out on how she did a challenge to meet friends. So we all want to be connected. So I'm glad that you bring that natural energy to it.
Oh, thank you. And I really think with the depth of my heart, we're all connected.
Oh, 100%.
There's something that connects each one of us.
Yeah.
And we just have to kind of zero in on that.
Yeah.
And that's part of my job, which I love, just
that's so great.
Making that connection.
So you went from Star of Hope, is that what you said?
Star of Hope.
Okay, and then I can mix up names. And then what else? Any other to highlight?
Well, I was at Azaron for a while, which served the Indian community with trafficking, which another amazing mission and journey. And then one day, my old supervisor, my old boss from Star of Hope, who was no longer there, he left before I left, reached out to me and said, I've got this place, Fran.
Yeah.
You're going to be amazing. Listen to the story. And it was where I am now at Nova, Ukraine. And with what's going on, right, with the war, I knew nothing. Because it's not in the news every day, and yet it is in the news, Yeah. So I through listening to what he said, and he's a very compassionate man, really another person that I connect so well with, because he loves everybody and he's good with everybody.
Right on.
And the best boss I ever had. So if you're listening, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. Nice. I love that.
The best boss I ever had. So,
not everyone loves their boss. So good job, Jeff. Good job.
But, he speaks from the heart, just like me. And and we have that really good connection, and which is so important when you're working with somebody.
And obviously you moved over there. Yeah.
And obviously I moved over there. When he just started telling me about Nova Ukraine, I was just like, just the amount that they serve and the humanitarian aid that's provided. And, it's based on volunteers. And 3,500 volunteers.
Now this is national.
Yeah.
Right, not local.
Yeah,
it's
national. Oops, sorry. It's national, and obviously in Ukraine. We have about 70 people on the ground doing the work that work with partners. So we can't do this on our own,
right?
And there are people that do like what you all do better than what I would do in your jobs right now. What your passion is, art. So it's just an incredible organization that has been around since 2014.
That's what I noticed when you sent a little fact sheet. Nova Ukraine has been around since 2014. And to me, I was having that experience. I was just telling Alexis exactly what you said yesterday. I hear about it every day in the news now, which I'm glad they're pointing to it. But I don't hear what's really happening. I don't hear where the help is being had or, what's the solution at this point.
And you hear multiple versions of what's happening. And there's really not enough information to sort out exactly what is right, wrong, or just bullshit, to be really blunt.
Yes.
You
And
know, 'cause we have so much of the bullshit.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And, I met with two of my dear friends that are Ukrainian who've become my dear friends. And the wife just got back from Ukraine about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
She's originally from Odessa. And she went back home to visit her family. And she was telling me that, last year at this time, there were buildings, there were restaurants, there were businesses, there were people on the street. She said, I stood in the middle of the street and I wept.
Mm-hmm.
The buildings are all down.
Mm-hmm.
The businesses are gone. There's no people on the street. It's just decimated.
I mean, it blows my mind that she could go back. It's not that I don't want... I know people are going to connect. I saw when... I don't know what, a year ago, 2 years ago now, when a lot of the bombing actually happened, that, I feel like I was a diligent viewer of an actual war happening in real time. And there were multiple battles going on, but Ukraine specifically, where they were telling the men that they had to stay, the women that they had to go, grandfathers making their own sandwiches, and that was it. I can't imagine going back to that yet. I just can't imagine that. I know everyone was really displaced and replaced, and I know Houston took in a lot of people, and I know that a lot of the social workers and volunteers, even from the YMCA, were trying to recruit Ukrainian speakers to help place people, help give supplies. So your org isn't the only org that's doing things, but Houston is so huge and diverse. But for people that are trying to track this, you're saying 2014. So apparently it was leading up to the need for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then where are we at now that you would say that your org sees beyond the news? Leave the news where it's at, but like in the need of the people and how people can actually be a direct support. I think sometimes we just need to know, like, what is really going on first.
Yeah. Well, if you can imagine that to this day, over 65% of the infrastructure of Ukraine has been decimated.
Okay.
So that's electricity, that's water.
Right.
So people can't flush a toilet. They can't take a shower. They have no running water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, I refer back to this woman who I met with just the other day. And she
just went.
And she was telling me that her sister has an apartment in the northern part of Odessa. And it's a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, mind you, in Houston, it would be ridiculous price, $150 American dollars.
Mm-hmm.
She can't afford it because there's no businesses. Mm-hmm. There's no anything to support her way of living. No food. Mm-hmm. They're living on, she was saying, like barley 3 times a day, or another gentleman was eating toast with mayonnaise 3 times a day. So it's a really devastating.
They're on scraps. Yeah.
It's
what
terrible.
Was left over.
We've been putting in water stations. We've been providing food to millions of people, but it's still not enough because there are people that are in these extenuating areas that even though their home has been bombed and decimated, it's still their home and they go back.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any place that understands something a little like this, like we go through storms in Houston and Galveston, right? And people are asked over and over again, do not stay, leave your home, blah, blah, blah. And they'll stay, right? And then they're in their home. This is a little pre-planned. We know to look after it. We know it's coming up. But the minute you don't have electricity and water, there's only so much bottled water you can have. There's only so many days you can wait without electricity. So I'm just drawing it back to a little bit of maybe what we can understand here. You only go a few days without some of that stuff without getting real nutty, and real in need.
Yeah. I mean, you have people that never faced poverty. I mean, worse than we see here in Houston. Because we have food pantries.
Right.
We have people that are out there providing support every day because there's no war every day. I mean, you have drones, and she was telling me when she was there, these suicide drones they have now.
Right.
And you hear them buzzing 24/7. over your head. And the air raid bombs are going off, and they've become so desensitized. It's like, well,
Yeah.
If it's going to happen,
if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, because a bomb shelter maybe is not going to be the best place to be.
And you can't stay there forever.
And you can't stay there forever, because the bomb shelters, they had like 60, I think it was like 60,000, and only a third were actually you were able to use.
Wow.
So that's something else we've provided is bomb shelters above ground. They weren't even accessible. So if you were in a wheelchair, you couldn't get down the stairs.
Yeah, no, they weren't planning for you.
No planning.
Yeah.
The hospitals have been decimated.
Right. That was
You
some
know?
of the first to be hit. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you have these drones that are overhead that are bombing ambulances.
Right.
So you're not getting one person, you're getting three for the price of one. And so we're providing these jammers so that they don't get
Can't
hit.
see
They're
it.
not targeted.
Mm-hmm.
And they've come up with something new. So now those don't work. So you're constantly having to.
It's technology over technology.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much like Britain during World War II. You would hear the rockets, and you know what you hoped was that the engine wouldn't stop, because that means it's coming down.
Yes. Yes.
And you know they have to be that way.
Yes. Yes. But it's, you know, the push now is winter.
Right.
You know, because
it's
winter's
about to
there.
get really cold. Yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah.
So the push now is let's store up and get the supplies necessary for winter, the blankets, the heating elements. We've provided little stoves for heating and for cooking, because that's something they don't have. We're in, I forget, 10 regions with these, wherever the railway stations are, we have these warming stations. And we have an amazing supporter. The Buffett Foundation has been an amazing support to Nova Ukraine in providing the funds necessary to have these points of invincibility for the people to go to. For shelter, for warmth, for plugging in their phone. You know, they've helped to support extracurricular schools.
Yeah.
Because 20% are at home. So they're not getting the contact.
Can we? I wonder if you know just how many people are still there. Like, what are the numbers we're working with that we're supporting over there? If you had to guess.
You know, I know that there's over 4.6 million that are just without water.
Okay.
And I know there's many more. You know, it's kind of hard because every day it changes.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But,
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the strategy for Nova? Is it just to keep connecting people as much as possible and bring relief along the way? Do you support people just over there, or do you support people who have evacuated in other places, or how far is Nova's reach in support?
Right now, the bulk of our funds go to Ukraine, and over 52% go straight for medical, because that's the highest need. On every dollar, between 94 and 96 cents goes, which, if you know nonprofits, that's unheard
That's a big
of.
deal.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
The average is about 80%. So that makes me feel, the impact is tremendous.
You're literally like doing what you can to draw bridges to direct relief. And we've, through some of our storm disasters, had issues with some nonprofits not delivering on their word and just paying their staff, or being more barriers than they were support to people when we were in storms and people were, sheltering, say, at a stadium or whatnot, having left their belongings behind, their identification behind, and then they were charging them to make IDs. And it was nuts. It's just...
Fortunately, that was Florida, not Texas. One of the few things we did right here.
Yeah. And in Houston, we had a storm, Harvey, that hit here in Houston, and then it went to Florida, and then it went to Puerto Rico. Is that right?
No, we happened to have 3 disasters in those locations the same year.
Oh, okay. It just seemed back to back, like it was a blur. And the Transgender Foundation of America had a trans disaster relief fund, and we were trying to get funds to people, not just in Houston, but in Florida. And then we sort of had to draw a line a little bit to Puerto Rico because there wasn't a way like they lost electricity. There really wasn't a way to get it to them. So, I mean, these practical things, you can have people who want to help, but if you're not drawing the bridges, it just doesn't get all over there.
Yeah. Every day I sit back and I just thank the big one, because just the simplest thing, this cup of coffee,
Right.
The roof over my head.
Yeah.
I had to go to the restroom, right? We all go to the restroom in the morning, especially after a cup of coffee.
Sure. Sure.
I would not be able to flush.
Right.
So it's those little things that I think we all take for granted.
Absolutely.
And I think, and because of so many other things that are happening in our world,
Sure.
it really makes me sit back and say, why? We are so blessed. Why are we so stupid? I mean, we are so.
Well,
to look at
a lot of
horse
people
and
are
that.
not as present to it as you are. Because again, it's not like we're being told. We're only being told certain things, right? It doesn't matter the news outlet you're looking at. You can go to people who are reporting on the ground. Okay, well, they still might just be reporting the tragedy, not necessarily the solution.
Right.
And they might just be reporting death and no solution versus the people who are there and what can you do?
Right.
So, I mean, even the best reporters get a little angled sometimes. But for people who want to stay aware, it takes a lot to find those things sometimes. And then you just get a little like, you have to move on to topics because in fairness, we're living our life too, right? Like I always look at how this me, myself can be a part of the we, the bigger we, and what can we do locally, statewide, nationally, globally. But we have to remember this happened around the pandemic. But like you're saying, it was going on longer than that. We just weren't even most lay people weren't at the access to that.
Yeah.
And maybe if you had friends, family, or travelers that were going, you kind of got some wind and maybe there was some foreshadowing and some badgering between the two countries and whatnot. But this isn't the only war issue, battle, social justice need going on at once, right? So, I mean, if you're a Care Bear, Alexis and I were taking this on, talking about this in 2015 around about, there were just so many social justice dumpster fires at once that if you really cared, you could get compassion fatigue.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that you're not super grateful for what you have. It doesn't mean that you're not like a minimalist. And then sometimes I'll find myself doing things locally and I'm like, this doesn't make a damn of a difference to anybody over there. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't. Like I could post all day long, but what makes a difference? So you're at the seat of the source of where it really is making a difference. And so I hear money, which is obviously helpful for medical.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a difference that someone locally can do to support the efforts now?
I think the biggest thing is awareness. I talk to so many people on an ongoing basis, and it's just bringing awareness that it doesn't stop. The bombing doesn't stop there. It is every single day. And to know that, yes, Nova Ukraine is one of the organizations that is supporting Ukraine. We're one of the top 5. There are other organizations that are there.
Yeah, you got to work together.
And you have to work together.
Someone's going to have a different access point.
You do, yeah. There are organizations that are there, obviously the hospitals, right? We can't open up a new hospital. So we go and we support them with whatever medical supplies or equipment, rehabilitation equipment. We're having we're just starting to get into the trauma, and what is it that we could do to help the children that have experienced this incredible trauma, the adults, the men that serve, because trauma doesn't just go away.
Right.
It kind of sticks with you.
Compounded for sure.
So it's, and because, like you said, we have been all desensitized to whatever is true or not true.
Right.
We have become compassionless because we are so desensitized to some.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it becomes a norm and it gets ignored.
Yes. And I think that is the greatest thing. I think just for all of us, just to be aware.
Right. And Ukraine's, unfortunately for them, sort of in the middle of a whole lot more with the global politics that are being done. And it has to be solved at, unfortunately, a nation-to-nation level. And at the moment, I don't think we're doing anything to do that. That's my opinion. I mean, what we're doing is playing games as opposed to basically saying, here's the problem. And the Russians are intent on taking back everything they can get. But if they're told no, they'll back off. But it has to be a very firm, clear no. And I don't think anyone's doing that at the moment.
Yeah, it's a really hard, difficult situation because it's not just like your average chessboard, right? It's really more like a mousetrap. You put that little piece of cheese on that mousetrap to encourage him to kind of get that little mouse to come and take a bite so you could smack it down, right? And I think that's where we're at almost, nobody is doing because they don't know what to do and because they don't want to be thrown into the dirty, unfortunate war.
Right.
And you've got strong powers. You've got Russia, China, and now India partnering. So I wouldn't want the job. I really.
It's a lot easier to be on the helping side.
I'm telling you,
especially from afar. Yeah, no, it's intense.
I keep going back to the things that people are mentioning as the way to solve it. Just makes me think of Nancy Reagan and how to solve the drug problem. Just say no. That's great, except it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They're like, Russia could just stop. Well, yeah, but.
Yeah. And that's why I go back to awareness, because it really is, you can't just say no. You have to bite into it, you know, and really decide, these are human beings. These are children. The other day I heard a story, one of our partners at Texas Children's had accepted a child from Ukraine who had shrapnel 80% of their body. 80% of their body. This is a child. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, this stuff really makes me go crazy, because it just shouldn't happen.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, it is happening and there isn't a solution within foreseeable sight. There isn't an agreeable peace currently. And I wonder, as somebody who has been working for NOVA for how long now?
Just a little over a year.
Okay, a little over a year. So it's it's an intense year to come on, right? How would you suggest that you're able to leave some work at work or, help with the burnout or, unplug a little? Like, how do you balance not being saturated? And maybe if it's like, actually, I don't at all. Like, that's okay. That's okay, right? That's okay. But like a lot of times in advocacy and just as somebody personally, I personally care about the Care Bears, right? And it's like, how do we run the marathon, not the race? And sometimes we just need the race people, right? Like we just need those little dashes and that's what it is. And we're leaving it all on the court. But like, how is it that you're able to not be too saturated given the givens?
I think, like we talked earlier, I think it has to do with the amazing relationships and the connections that I've built, because with what I do, that is the most important. Having people to connect and hear stories and hear their stories and learn about them and why they were driven to support Nova Ukraine and how their support has, influenced so many. Yes, their unwavering support has done so much good. And I think always keeping in the back of my mind that what I'm doing is making an incredible impact in saving lives, that makes my heart feel good. Yeah. Even when I hear these stories of these, individuals that lost their lives or have been covered in shrapnel, or
Sure.
I know that, they're getting the support and help that they need thanks to Nova. And I'm a part of that.
Yeah. No, that's really great. Thank
So-
you for highlighting that. Did you have anything to say, Alexis?
Now, the only thing I was thinking about was I think it's very nice when you have some successes in the middle of things that just are not successes. I mean, I'm sorry, but wars are not successes.
Yes.
And, and when you can say, okay, we're succeeding at doing what we can do plus some,
Yes.
that seems like a very fulfilling approach that can be taken.
Yeah. I mean, we I don't know if I mentioned this. Maybe I did. If I did, I'm sorry. Senior moment. But, we've supplied over 160 million since 22 to Ukraine. We've helped over 11 million people. That's incredible.
That's incredible.
That's incredible. And that gives me fulfillment.
Right.
That gives me the sense of there is hope.
And it's in partnership with other people doing other work as
Yes,
well.
yes.
And, it really highlights for me the difference between, I keep going back to Harvey because it's a thing that people might be able to resonate with here. There were lots of people immediately doing citizen to citizen support. And that wasn't always the case in natural disasters in the nation. People were kind of like, well, I'm sure the emergency responders will handle it, right? But Houston was like, nope. Where there's a boat, there's a way. We're in the Bayou City. Let's go. Hey, And we even had the Cajun Navy come back. And, oh, God, it gives me goosebumps. They're like, we're here to repay a favor, from Katrina. We're 20 years out from that this week. So, we're not new to this. We're true to this, but
Yes.
it's something where it's going to be a short amount of time, and then there's going to be a lot of wreckage that you have to manage afterwards. I don't mean to say that people aren't still dealing with the impact of these disasters, but it's not as acute.
Yes.
And when it's acute, citizen to citizen, we did a lot, and.
Well, and the big thing, though, is if you look at Ukraine, that would be more of a chronic thing. I mean, it's gone long enough that it's definitely chronic.
Yeah. And it's not as tangible because it's not at home.
Right.
Right. And it's not the same environment whatsoever, right? Like if you're in a city, a city, like a flood is very different than a war zone, to be honest. But I was just saying, when you were speaking, I remember the difference in Harvey of the people who went out and did something versus the people who sat at home and didn't. And then they said, oh, I just have like survivor's guilt. And they were saying survivor's guilt like 3 days out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's still things to volunteer. There's still plenty to,
Yes.
you could turn this over. You could shift that energy. You could give back directly. And so what I hear in what you're saying is as much as everything is a disaster, and like Alexis pointed out, war, there's no solution, right? Like there's no
win.
No win, right?
I mean, somebody claims they win, but they don't.
Right.
There's things that can still be done. And so if you were trying to be aware, I guess I would go to Nova's website. And then I there are volunteer opportunities, even if you're in Houston. I mean, I did read that you're about to have a big fundraiser in September, which we're on the cusp of. But what would you suggest if people were like, yeah, I am still passionate about this. I do want to make a difference. And I just maybe was bogged down when it first started. And now I have a little bit more bandwidth. Like, what could they do with Nova to support?
So, if they would like to mentor, we have virtual English classes.
Wow.
That are teaching teachers and children English, because that is our kids here don't get naturally two languages when they are educated, but there it's very important. So you can do something virtually very easily.
Wow.
If you work for an organization that has a match program, all these big corporations have match gifts where you give 50, they match the 50.
Okay.
That's $100.
Yeah.
So if your organization, your business has a match program, which every single organization does, make us one of the beneficiaries of that.
Yeah, that's great.
If you have a church you belong to a church, a synagogue, whatever.
Yeah, Houston has like a lot of
A
churches
gazillion.
and a lot of bars. So I don't want to hear anyone saying, "Oh, we don't got any churches." Not on this podcast. Not when we're talking to churches like we need your help. Like, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Now's the time.
there's mission projects within churches. Adopt Nova Ukraine as part of their mission.
Okay.
Because we do get gift in kind. And we ship it over. We ship over 2 to 3 40-foot containers chock full of supplies. It's the containers with the supplies are about $340,000 worth of supplies that go over, times 2 or 3 every single month. That's what we're sending.
Wow.
So if you are a doctor and have access to medical equipment, we're looking for portable x-ray machines and ultrasound machines because there's a waiting line to get in the hospital. So they set up all these triage units that have no diagnostic equipment.
Yeah, and we are the medical center. Like most places are way more decorated than any other city in just your like average doctor space. So yeah, wow.
So anything like that. If you have a women's group, we have women that are refugees in California that we support. And we are providing them educational opportunities to what's the next step?
Right. Now what?
So if you are, a career-driven woman and like to be a coach, maybe that's something.
Absolutely.
So I think you have to kind of think creatively too, because again, it's how many miles away, the actual. Obviously, your best support is fiscal, because then we could then bring it to the places that need that fiscal support
directly over there.
Really make an impact. It's going to cost over $1 trillion to rebuild. They have it as a guesstimate right now.
Sure.
Whenever that happens.
Sure.
So, if they have any questions, they're more than happy to contact me or look at the website because there's lots of opportunities there, especially if you're, we are just new to the Houston area, our development team. I would love to come and have a conversation at your organization or at your church or, wherever.
Wonderful.
I have a donor, quick fun story.
Sure.
I did a Northeast trip.
Okay.
And I had little coffee connections and I invited whoever was there and these lovely people came, lovely people. And one gentleman, an elderly gentleman, I'm going to go and they have this big event in Massachusetts and it draws, I don't know, over 2,000 people and I'm going to set up a table and I'm going to raise money to get a bomb shelter.
Nice.
I said, okay.
Nice.
So maybe you have a run, you're in a marathon and you want to sponsor and get funds for Nova Ukraine via a marathon. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, online gamers, you don't even have to leave your living room. Turn on your screens, get some hecklers, get some cheerleaders. And one of the things that we saw was amazing gamer just turned on and said something like, pay me to play and did a marathon and raised money for a LGBT youth shelter in need in the UK. And I think they went for 3 days, no sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Know your strengths.
I guess but that's
jump
what they
in.
do anyway, playing.
Jump in, know your strengths. There are people doing that without fundraising, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate you highlighting just the different levels because we can all do a little something. And I think that with conference season coming up and fundraiser season, if somebody were to pull up Nova Ukraine on their website and say okay, you don't like our org, check out this other org, you care about war. Okay. That is where some people's focus is right now. Right. And that's important. So, wow. When you were able to come in here, I was just really it's so timely, but what the heck is there to do, And
there's so much, and it just takes one. It really just takes one.
And the other thing we found, and I'm sure you have found this too, is that trying to tell someone what all there is to do, it's better if they have something they'd like to do and just contact you and see if it'll help. Because, people do and know about things that I don't care who you are. You can't think of all of them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no bad idea.
Yeah.
Right. There's people who have GoFundMe pages for Nova Ukraine. They've decided that that's what they're going to do, and they set a goal and they have a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
So
just bringing awareness to your reach, because we do tune it out. We as much as we try to stay connected, we're not all that connected. I think if anything showed us that, COVID did, but we're in a new world now, and I appreciate you coming in and pointing this out, and want to give space to anything else that you want to highlight.
Gosh, I'm just I love Houston. Obviously coming down from New York, there's got to be a reason.
Sure.
And I know Houston is very philanthropic.
Oh, yeah.
And there are so many worthy charities that are out there. And all I'm saying is find one.
Yeah.
Or find two that you feel passionate about. Identify what that is, and then just hold on, because these charities, and research them, go to Charity Navigator, go to Candid, research them, make sure they're valid, because there are some.
Right.
know.
I mean, one of the things when we were doing some of the stuff with Transgender Foundation of America that we've I found humorous, because we are not a large charity, but we're an old charity. I mean, 1965 makes us fairly old. And that is when IRS said, oh, well, you have to file as a large charity. And I'm like, we don't bring in that much money. But the average charity brings in less than $200.
That's correct.
And so, honestly, and this isn't to put down new charities or anything else, make sure that you get what you're going for with the charity, because if they bring in $200, there's very little they can do. Now, if they're just starting, okay, I get it. Somebody has to do the first $100 or $200. Yes. But, when you get much beyond that and a few years in, look at them and make sure they're actually doing some work.
Yeah. I mean, you would do it if you were investing.
Right.
You would research that investment, right? You would see how that stock is going to do for you. A charity is the same. It has to be able to produce. It has to be transparent.
Right.
It has to be able to validate that they are doing what they say they're doing.
It's a really good example.
And that's the one thing that I'd like to just, leave with is identify who it is that you want to support, and support it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But research.
Right. And the first thing to look at is to go to the IRS website and make sure if they say they're a 501c3, they really are.
And that they file a 990.
Exactly. And you get to look at those 990s all you want.
Yeah. Well, and go to sites like Charity Navigator.
Right.
Or Candid, because they have everything on the organizations that you would like to know. So you don't have to research a lot if you go to those websites, because everything is visible.
Mm-hmm. It's important to have transparency, and you want your money to reach, and you want your time to reach. And if you're just a people passionate person, like get out there and see if you can volunteer. Get out there and see if you can set up a call and just say, hey, I heard about this. I don't know where I could fit in. Could we have like a 15-minute conversation to see, is there an event going on that I can look at? Is there a YouTube, video or something that I can share with my friends? Like, that really makes a huge difference. You feel a little bit more connected to it. Yeah. And it gets you out of your seat and into something good. And so just maybe look at your passions and see how your reach can continue that for you and for others, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we are all passionate about something.
Oh, yeah. Houston's doing a huge animal donation moment right now, helping bark out, getting the animals, getting our shelters a little less decluttered and a little bit more loving homes for animals. October is such a fundraising season for any nonprofit, and then you go right into the holidays. The cool thing is that it can also be very social, right? Like if you show up and meet somebody, they have something in common, and you obviously care about this to some degree enough to show up. And so a lot of times people say, well, how do I meet people? It's like, well, meet people where your passions are is a nice return on investment for yourself. It's a little bit more than just a swipe situation or a bio situation, if you're out there trying to meet new friends and whatnot. So keep taking care no matter where you're listening from.
But there's one thing that, I got to ask, and this is what we've heard a few times, and that is, y'all have been around for a long time, et cetera. I'm going to, start donating to one of the totally new places, and because I think, they'll remember who I am, and and I think I can have more of an impact that way, et cetera.
Well,
just comment.
I again, like you said, you have to be passionate about something, whether it's helping kids, helping homeless, helping Ukraine, whatever you're passionate about, and find that hole. And if you find a small charity that really is struggling, research them and make sure that, at least 80%, is going to the program, because otherwise there are overhead expenses.
Right.
And, operational expenses people don't want to pay for.
Right.
They want to touch that life. And I think it's important. One of my jobs is to make sure that people that do give from their heart are thanked. Being grateful and thankful is a lost art. And
that's a podcast, girl. Like, are you thanking your volunteers or are they voluntold?
Exactly.
That's a different episode.
Exactly.
No, but definitely gratitude goes a lot further.
And since I've been a part of Nova Ukraine, that has been my goal, to reconnect donors, reconnect people who at one point cared and ran away for whatever reason. Why? And have a conversation. Yeah. What could we do better? What could I do differently? Because I care about you, your value to me, because you support something that's important.
Hey.
So gratitude is quintessential,
Oh, yeah. And hey, if you want to pay overhead and staff fees, there's nothing wrong with that, because there's only so far volunteers can go. Volunteer orgs go a certain distance. They may go a different distance. So, pick the race you want to be in. But if there's going to be people that are there when the lights are still on all the way to turning off the lights at the end of the day, that's a lot of hours. You have to have people managing stuff. Right. So no knocks on that necessarily, but just like you said, if it was a stock, you'd research where it was yielding. Some people are about the dividends. Some people are about just grow, and some people just want other people to manage that for them. That's okay.
That's right.
So yeah. Well, I don't know.
And the lower the percent of your money that's going to the people or the reason for the charity, the more suspicious you should be.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means look much harder at it.
That CEO is getting mad bank. Maybe consider.
Well, and all of that is on their 990.
It's on the 990
so
and the whole bit.
If they are not putting out a 990, that should draw a red flag.
That's not good. That's not good.
That's a red flag.
That's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It should be transparent and they should be accountable.
Absolutely.
One of the things we were really proud of is that we guarantee that at least 90% of ours is going direct to what you're contributing it for. It usually runs about 95 to 98%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just have to say over and over again, if you're a little scared or you're I don't know where to get started or whatever, just reach out to the org, find the person that is very much like the person you're hearing right now, whoever represents that org that's going to make that bridge for you. Because when you meet other people that like the same situation, even if it's filling up books at the free library, little houses along the city, if it's filling condom bags for people that are houseless and that is their only work is sex work, is real work, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing that's going to keep them fed. Anything that you're out there doing with people is worth it, but it's that moment where you get connected to the mission and other people, it enlivens you. It's you did make a difference that day because I'm just bringing it back to they're eating toast and mayonnaise. Yeah. They didn't have effective bomb shelters. Mm-hmm. They are still in a war. Mm-hmm. Anything you can do is more than someone being numb to it and not waking up to it. So thank you for whatever your passion is. It may be Nova Ukraine and it may just be a new inquiry for yourself, which opens up a new chapter, and I'm for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The end of the year is coming. Yeah. And we all think of what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So,
or what did I do this year?
What did I do? Yeah.
Like, what was that New Year's resolution list? I don't know anymore,
Yeah.
but no, seriously, like we all have so much more privilege than we are present to.
Amen.
So I thank you. I thank you for representing us to that today and giving us some real information on who's actually helping on the ground, and get out of the political conversations that are going nowhere. Let them manage that and get into like the helpers, the creators, the dreamers, the connecting people that are out there being of service. So thank you for coming in, Francine.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah. So one more time with your information, if people wanted to connect with you at Nova.
Yeah. My email is Francine, FRANCINE Goundry, GOUNDRY @novaukraine.org, or you can call me 713-838-5269. I live in Pearland and I travel wherever I need to be to visit. So
Yeah.
and look at our website. Just go to Nova Ukraine. There's tons of information. There's quarterly reports up there that really show the impact that we're making.
It's so important. Any final thoughts?
Not really. I think that was excellent. I mean, the big thing I would say is do something at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you like this podcast, you can subscribe, you can like, you can share. And actually sharing it with the next person does help Nova Ukraine. And that's the beautiful thing, right? Like we're here to keep conversations going. So thank you for supporting 22 Sides and supporting the people that are having the conversations that you want to hear.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was
take
such
care.
a pleasure to meet you both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And see you in your heart.
I was going to say, wasn't it a horrible experience? No.
No, this was great. No,
Darn, we blew it again.
no, it was
We're going
great.
to have to work on it for Halloween.